Hello. Um, my name is Russell. I'm here to talk about a topic that I've constantly had on my mind: uh, racism. Racism, it has many faces. Racism is a uncomfortable topic, but it should be an uncomfortable topic. It's not a, well, it's here and there, it's gone. Racism can come in aggressive, passive, political, slight tiffs. Me myself, I haven't experienced much aggressive racism, not the outward shouting of the N word. No one, has a cross on my lawn, lighting it on fire. I haven't experienced too much of that. I've experienced some, but not too much. I experienced more passive, more oblivious, and political racism. What I mean is racism that even the person doing the racism doesn't really seem aware of. The racism, like a teacher going up to you when you're just reading a book and going, "You're not like the others." I appreciate you just sitting there reading your book. And you look around and you see other white kids and other races and other kids just reading the book, but you see a few black kids, and there's probably like three maybe in a class at most. They're just talking or having fun, but they're not doing their work, you know. And apparently, I was pointed out because I was a black person just reading a book. Racism, political, that polite racism is like being in third grade talking about the Civil War and your teacher saying one of the reasons the main reason the Civil War was fought was because the Union wanted to keep the Confederacy together. And you saying, well, isn't that because of slavery? Isn't that the main reason? And she's saying, no, you're close, but no. It was just because the Union wanted to keep the Confederacy together. And you sitting there, but slaves was the common denominator, so shouldn't it be slaves? She's like, no, that is what polite racism is. That is something that you carry for days, for years, because you're always thinking back to it. That racism makes you grow up. It makes kids grow up quicker. Black kids have to. I, I, I myself felt like I had to grow up because if I didn't, I would probably be dead by a mistake I would have made. Like taking a toy gun into a gas station and wearing a hoodie. That could have been a deadly mistake. Teaching your kids how to not move or twitch in the car, especially at night, because an officer pulled you over. Racism isn't always aggressive and always political. Sometimes it's passive, like I said earlier. Passive racism is some of the worst racism, too. It's like having someone, say constantly. It's not always a super loud amount of racism. It's not like, oh man, I hate black people. It's just like, hey man, these black people protesting. I don't know why they're even protesting, and having the room be dead silent, and you saying nothing because you know if you start saying something, it's going to make the workroom awkward. You know, people are going to start treating you different. They're going to separate you. They're going to you're never going to really have fun. You never just be a person again. It's choosing comfort versus what's right. That silent racism, that passive racism, is no one else in the room even saying anything or trying to defend the point because they don't see anything wrong with what he said. They either don't think it's strong enough or just said that that's his belief. Just passive. It's also it's mainly seeing racism, not really saying anything until something is extremely bad enough. Letting it kind of build until you can finally see it. Just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not happening. That's the passive racism. Not doing anything until you see it. It's always a reacting, never a breaking it at its stem. It's old. Racism sucks because it's a constant level of people representing you that might not truly understand. Racism can be seeing on the news a three-person murder, three-person shooting, or robbery, or whatever crime they have on the news, and you going, please don't be black, please don't be black, please don't be black. And when they're black, you know that you sigh, you're just like because it's a use it uses your whole race. It uses just yourself as, see, black people are looting, see, black people are doing crimes. I once made a joke to my friend. I was like, black people do that all the time. Do white people ever do that? Just go, please don't be white, please don't be white. No, they just go, oh man, that's horrible, I hope they catch that guy. Because they don't, no one's using that against their race. It's not used as their whole race, it's a person. But with black people, it's always used as black people. That passive racism, that political racism, is using a black Republican or a black person who has good ties to the Confederacy, a Confederate flag, or Confederate statues, and putting them on the news, saying, I don't agree with taking them down, and using that as your case in point, as a way of saying that it's okay to keep them because a black person sponsored it. As you're not racist because a black person likes me. It's that political racism. It's that thing that you go, well, where I go, well, why does that person's opinion matter? Why does that person, that specific person, that one person out of the thousands of black people saying we don't like it, matter more than our own? Those people. What about those people? If one black person says he likes it and 1,000 say they don't, you pick the one because he agrees with your movement. It's that political racism that says, hey, we shouldn't tear down those statues because they're history and heritage of America. And if you tear down history, you're doomed to repeat it. That also go, well, you don't remember all the atrocities that black people, Native Americans, Hispanics have gone through that we don't talk about? The Trail of Tears, we don't have that, blasted in our face every day. It's only kind of just stated that happened. It's that political racism. It's that passive racism. It's not always aggressive. And then when you try to say it's not always aggressive, people just push it off, saying it's not big enough. It's not a big enough deal for me to get involved. It's that racism that you can debunk a statement a million times, but it keeps coming back up. No matter what you say, you're not going to agree with me. And then, even when it's to a point where you can't win, it's put in that, okay, we'll agree to disagree, like a standstill, like we're on still equal footing. We're not equals. You lost the fight. You're wrong. But apparently, it's okay because we're all God's children. It's a point of never apologizing, but saying, you know what, then I can respect you, and we could stay equals. No, when you're wrong, you're wrong. The Drew Brees, LeBron James statement, all the things that are going down. Newscaster, I'm not going to say her name, but she said, shut up and dribble. And then Drew Brees said his statement, and she said he has all right to say, have his opinion, say what he feels is right. And then when she talks about the hypocrisy, she just says, we're all God's children. That is the political racism. Not apologizing, not saying I was hypocritical or saying, you know what, um, hey, they were both athletes and they both had power and they both decided to use their platform to say something that they believed in, regardless of how much they made. No, she didn't say that. She copped out. She used the religious. She used the equal footing. She didn't apologize. She didn't talk about it. She pushed it off. That's that political, that passive, that you can't. It's not like she said, "Well, I don't care about black people." We make jokes about it. Black people make so many jokes about it. It's like it's so messed up because it's so messed up. We make jokes about it because it's that messed up. It's just like that's the way life is. Apparently, you know. I get up and I go to work every day, and I get mad that I'm not more aggressive. That there's people that feel like they're over me. There are people that literally want me dead just because I was born black. I hate hearing that Black Panthers are like the Black KKK. If the Black Panthers had the power of the KKK, you think you think that half the stuff we go through to happen? We ask for common sense things. We ask for things that shouldn't really need to be asked for. We ask, hey, if a cop does something wrong, he's held accountable to his action. And we get no. It didn't matter even if he was black or white. We're arguing, hey, cop did something wrong. If he wasn't mentally stable, if he wasn't able to control himself, it's on the department. Because if he wasn't able to police himself, make sure that he was okay to do his job, and wasn't uh, in the right mind, if he wasn't out here terrified and always shaking, if he said, you know what, I don't think I can do this job, I'm always scared. It's supposed to be up to the department to be like, hey, you know what, this guy looks like he's always scared. It looks like he can't do his job properly. We got to let you go because this job is a high maintenance job. It demands a lot. We're asking for accountability. We're asking for proper punishments. We're asking for, we're not asking for saints. We're asking If you can't pick better men, make the men have to jump through more circles. You clearly couldn't police those police. And now we're sitting here with a whole bunch of people dead that didn't need to be dead. And yeah, I say some of those guys were not saints. Some of them were actual criminals, but they didn't deserve to die. They deserved their chance in court. They deserved the equal amount of justice as their white counterparts, as their Hispanic counterparts, as anything. And they should be charged the same. We not just the arrest; they should be charged just the same. It sucks throughout the whole thing. Anytime a black person has you gets treated rougher when they get arrested, they get charged harder for the crime, and they serve way longer sentences. It's a whole thing, and we're just supposed to say, oh well, don't do crimes. I remember reading a story called Robin Hood. Stole from the rich, gave to the poor. I also saw Aladdin. Didn't have food, stole food from, rich people, markets, or whatever. He was the hero, though, wasn't he? But I guess those heroes weren't black. I remember, hearing all these stories of poor people, those celebrities, those rich people that you like to use as examples, talking about them doing some crimes, some shady stuff, and using that shady money to build themselves. I hate the Ben Shapiro's of the world. Everything's a debate. Everything's a argumentative point. Sometimes you're wrong. Sometimes you don't know. Sometimes you can act as smart as you want. You can have a political degree in whatever you want. You can have a degree in anything. But sometimes you're wrong. Even the dumbest person can say, hey man, you're wrong. I believe if Jesus came back and he was a black guy, he would be killed by the white people that say that he praised him because he was black. That's the only reason. Someone could say the most logical, the most sense-making statements. Even that statement didn't make sense, but the most sensible statements. They could say it all day, and just because someone's black or someone doesn't believe in what you believe in or uh, doesn't really fit your narrative, you're going to denounce it. There is a lot of racism going on. There's a lot of things. There's problems. Trust me, there's problems that aren't necessarily due to race, but are amplified because of race. That's what the Black Lives Matter movement, that's what some of these movements are about. It's not saying that everything is about race. It's saying that everything that a person of race is dealing with is so much more because they just have to deal with the problems of also you're black. Imagine just like also you're black is like adding 10 pounds on your back, adding 25 pounds. Let's say 25 pounds. You have a black person. I'm pretty sure, a young, healthy male can survive having a 25-pound weight on their back. It makes them strong. There's ankle weights and stuff. They can deal with that. It makes them stronger. But imagine also putting everyday life on there. The extra 10 pounds of debt, of finding a good job, finding the right political degree, people just not having your father's cancer, the uproar of life, just amplified. Anything that you have is just 25-pound belt. And imagine if you're just not that attractive. I'm scared that if I die, because I didn't look as good, no one's gonna care about my death. Like, there's so much. There's so much to talk about and so much to say, but people don't listen. People don't want to hear. There's problems within the movement, and I will be the first one to say it. But then the whole point is, hey, instead of trying to nitpick the whole movement with everything that's wrong with it, are you not getting the message of the movement? Are you doing something productive about the movement? You're so uh, hold up on the fact of hey, this movement has problems. You're not even looking at, hey, can I help with the problems? You can talk as much stuff as you want, that's fine. But as long as you're also helping, it's like I used to complain while helping a person, do laundry or bring stuff up to their third floor apartment. Yeah, I complain. I'll complain while carrying my weight though. I'll be like, why do you get so much stuff? This stuff is so convenient. It's so inconvenient. It's heavy, but I'm still helping. And I give them an earful. You know why? So when it's time, they start to make better plans. They start to say, you know what? Uh, I should get more people, or shouldn't always have to rely, or I should get stronger so I can do these things. I complain so you can know the problems of something, so you can make solutions. So you don't always have to go with the same person, the same tactic to make things better, to improve them, to say, you know what, instead of rushing it, I'm going to go smaller. I'm just going to carry, one package of water at a time, so I don't have to keep calling on someone just so I can get everything at once. It's the example I used was very in depth, but I say it because it's going to take some time. It takes time. It takes strategy. It takes preparation. It takes um, consistency. It takes starting. Racism can be political. Racism can be polite. Racism can be passive. Racism is not always Ku Klux Klan mask, and it's not always a cross. It's not always a Nazi. It's not always a like white skin. It's not always that. Black people can be racist to black people. College college graduates can be racist. Politicians can be racist. Young people can be racist. Old people can be racist. People can do racist things. I can be racist. No one is saying that these things aren't true. But the fact of it is, I'm trying to make myself better. I'm trying to make myself aware. Are you trying? You could say you're making us aware that anyone could be racist, but are you doing anything to help the movements, help people feel more comfortable? If it's always about your comfortability, if it always circles back to how comfortable you are with something, then we'll never get anything done. Because anything I do, if you don't like me, is going to make you uncomfortable. So please think about these things. Please talk about these things. Please don't ignore it. Don't pass it off. Don't breeze past it because you feel like it's not big enough or it's not important enough. And you don't want to sit there and just watch the cringy videos all day and get annoyed because, I'm probably the same way. You think I want to see that? I just, I'm tired of living it. That's why I say it. As a person tired of living that stuff, I could say without a doubt, I'd rather be annoyed and do something than die by it. Okay, I guess that's all I gotta say.